That voice that says you don't belong here, yeah, that haunted me from my coding bootcamp to my first software job. I know that feeling of being an underdog who's about to be exposed. But then my wife, a mental health therapist, dropped 3 mindset hacks that completely changed the game. She taught me how to use psychology to stop the self-sabotage. So if you're tired of feeling like a fraud, whether you've been coding 6 months or 6 years, stick around. By the end of this video, you'll have 3 therapist-approved tools to quiet that inner critic and finally feel confident in your own code. Before we get to the tools, here's the real issue. Imposter syndrome happens when you can't internalize success. You chalk it up to luck or timing. You might have shipped 10 great features, but your brain keeps replaying that one bug from last week. We're trained to debug code, not our thoughts, and that's exactly why it hits us developers so hard. Or maybe you feel behind because you're still learning React while everyone else is learning Svelte. This video is for you. So the question is, how do you prove to yourself that you actually belong here? Let's reprogram that mindset with hack number 1. The first hack is the ultimate antidote to self-doubt because it tackles the psychology of failure head on. The problem is you overanalyze every mistake and discount every win. The old me, you could probably find me dramatically Googling, am I bad at my job after one code review. However, my wife gave me a challenge that sounded ridiculous at first, but it completely rewired how I handled that feeling. She called it the folder of facts. If you're watching this, I want you to pause and think, what would your proof folder look like? My wife explained that we get our identity tied up in our work. She told me to collect every positive email, every compliment, and every successful code deploy. But here's the key detail. Also save the emails where you solved a hard problem or fixed a legacy defect. Save proof of your effort, not just the praise. This is crucial for fighting the pressure of taking too long to solve a problem. When you look back, you see the time wasn't wasted, it was an investment. It forces me to separate myself from my work. The feedback is on the code, not on the person. You must consciously rewrite your own story with your own facts. Now tell me in the comments, what's the strangest item in your brag folder? I'll share mine down below. That folder quieted the lies, but the voice, that still needed work. Once I stopped beating myself up for every mistake, my wife hit me with the next truth. The inner critic doesn't disappear, but you can talk back to it. That's where hack number 2 comes in, the collaborative mindset. We're so afraid of admitting when we don't know something. That moment when you're staring at documentation for a technology you're completely unfamiliar with, that's the root of the incompetence fear. My wife helped me see this voice not as the truth, but as a character. She'd ask, would you talk to your best friend that way? And for most of you, I really hope that answer is no. Honestly, this one took me months to get right. I'd catch myself mid-sentence still apologizing for not knowing something. The hack here is to actively challenge that voice with communication. This leads right into practical application. When you get feedback, your voice matters. Instead of saying, I don't know this, it's, hey, can you help me understand this better? This simple shift turns a moment of weakness into a teaching moment. Also, if you're the one giving feedback, always offer a solution or a resource along with the critique. It turns critique into collaboration. That's how you build a healthy team and a healthy mind. So now I could handle my inner critic, but there was still one more mindset shift that changed everything. And this one hit me hardest after becoming a dad. When my daughter was born, my definition of success changed instantly. And that's when the third hack clicked. I realized my life wasn't just my pull requests. My wife used to say, your brain needs a home outside of your work. And it finally clicked when I became a dad. The principle is simple. You need a strong anchor identity outside of the terminal. That could be your family, your passion for fitness, or your weekly meetup group. You are not just a line of code. The practical application here, you have to establish clear, non-negotiable boundaries. So when you clock out, you clock out. Close the laptop, touch grass, hug someone who doesn't care about your Git commits. This holistic perspective is your secret weapon against burnout and imposter syndrome. That's when I realized imposter syndrome isn't something you beat once. It's something you beat over and over. You outgrow it when you realize who you really are outside of the screen. So those are the 3 core therapist-approved hacks that completely changed my perspective and helped me finally beat that feeling of being a fraud. The self-doubt might still creep in sometimes, but now I have the tools to shut it down. I'm proof that these strategies work and I'm using them every single day to keep growing. So which of these 3 hacks, the folder, the critic, or the anchor identity, are you going to try first? Let me know in the comments. Now, if imposter syndrome has been holding you back, subscribe. We build better developers here starting with the mind, so you can stop feeling like an underdog and start feeling like the expert you actually are.